The sky was burning. The clouds red with twisted fire. Lightning moving across them. And they descended upon everything. Like a furious battle between God and Satan, good and evil. Like a fire vortex.
Good evening, Rocket League fans. Honestly, it's been a while since, I feel like it's been a while since we've had some SGL action, but we've got a double header for you tonight. Of course, ECRC Black Army and KC Cauldron versus Steel Army. I'm Rydog of Timbers Army in the booth today, along with Maz behind the scenes, but as in the wise words of Maz, I am not alone. I'm here with the lovely, lovely Luis of El Matador. Luis, good evening, my man.
Good evening, Rydog. Super excited for tonight. We're going to be sending home a team for the first time in Season 8 playoff action. So, looking forward to tonight, and yeah, it should be good. Good one.
Yes, that is the unfortunate part of our season. We've had such a joy so far up to this point, but of course, all good things have to start to come to an end. And of course, like you said, Luis, for one of these teams, their road ends tonight. Let's since we've got a doubleheader tonight, let's just kind of break it down one by one. Let's start with our main match tonight. It's going to be Emerald City RC versus Black Army, and then of course KC Cauldron and Steel Army is going to be happening kind of simultaneously, so you guys will see both matches kind of on your stream as well. So but we'll be jumping back and forth, I think, in the booth too. But let's kind of start with that top match, ECRC versus Black Army, kind of one of the headliners here. I will say this is a 1 seed versus a 3 seed in the lower bracket. How does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, this game, for many people, I think I predicted these two teams to go very far in my own bracket, which currently is very busted. But yeah, to have these two teams be faced in the first elimination lower round bracket, I mean, it's a surprise, to say the least. I think it's just kind of a testament to kind of how good the playoffs have been and just the season in general, to have two teams of this caliber fighting in that first elimination game. So, yeah, I mean, these are both two teams I think you could have realistically picked to go very far and or win the tournament. So, we're in for a real treat tonight.
Absolutely. Let's throw up the SGL Season 8 playoff bracket of what we're looking at. Of course, we'll do a brief recap as well. We're going to start there on the upper left-hand side of your screen with winners round 1 and winners round 2. Luis, talk to me through that. Of course, you played in it, that upper round match versus Rebellion. Sounds like to me of course, it looks on the surface sweep, you guys killed them, but of course you were in the match. Maybe it didn't seem like that.
Yeah, I think the Rebellion actually played one of their better series of the season. Talked to Shorts, talked to Polar, talked to Triple C Corey about their performance in that series, and they thought that they played really well. So they thought that they had a good game plan, and they played very well. So as you see on your screen, the 4-0, it might look lopsided, but again, I think the Rebellion and their players would tell you they played relatively well. So I look forward to seeing them in their next game versus the locals, see if they can kind of continue that in-game form and maybe translate that into some game wins.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, you see El Matador there moving on to play ECRC in that next round, and the Rebellion dropping down to the bottom there to, like you said, face locals in that losers round one. And of course, that next series, I feel weird talking about it because I was there, but Black Army versus Timbers Army, 3 versus 6 seed. People keep calling it the match of the season, the series of the season. Luis, from your perspective as a viewer, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, interestingly enough, in that series, if you recall back to, I believe it was week 1 or 2, Timbers Army and Black Army did play to a game 5. They did take their series all the way in the regular season. Obviously, you would remember, right, Doc, because you were in that series, and so it translated the same way into the playoffs. It was a tremendous series. Black Army up 3-1, Timbers Army coming back, game 7, getting it done. And yeah, it was easily the best series so far of not only this season, but I think very, very likely you could argue it's one of the better series we've ever had in the 8 seasons of running this league. So yeah, obviously, Rydog, you were in that series, and yeah, there's been some comms videos that have been released that you've put together, and yeah, just kind of talk to me about that series from the perspective of playing in it.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. It was probably one of the best, if not the best series I've ever been a part of, regardless of the outcome. Even if, we would have lost that series, of course, it would have been heartbreaking. But yeah, just the way you did it, right? Like you said, Black Army up 3-1 in this series. Maybe all hope is lost. And Timbers Army, we found a way to claw back, get it to game 7, and then get it to game 7 overtime, and then score with like 2.5 minutes there on the clock to take the first upset of Timbers Army's run so far. And of course, yeah, those two teams being the Rebellion and Black Army, they're in the lower round 1, which of course we will see Black Army face ECRC later tonight. But then of course we move over kind of to that winners round 2. Of course, ECRC and Locals being the top 2 seeds in our regular season, getting that first round bye, getting a little extra time to practice and kind of see who their opponents are. And I guess we'll start with you again, Luis. Talk to me about that ECRC El Matador series. You see again another lopsided scoreline.
Yeah, I thought personally, I think in the playoffs I've played pretty bad, but my team's carried me, so it's kind of a weird place for an EM team being carried by someone other than me. It's a nice weird place to be in. So yeah, 4-1, pretty comfortable. We did lose the one game. I don't think ECRC played their best. They'd probably say the same as well. So look forward to ECRC playing a lot better tonight and coming away with a victory. Not to spoil my predictions, but I think they'll play a lot better tonight, and I think they'll come away with their first dub of the SGL playoffs.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. Of course, them being the 1 seed, having them go out 0-2 would be catastrophic, at least for them, to say the least, with how good we know they can be. And of course, right below that upper winners round 2 is the Locals versus Timbers Army. And as you can see, Timbers Army keeping the Cinderella streak alive, getting the win against Locals. Of course, I've also played it in that match, and Timbers Army started out super hot, getting the first 2 games. Locals calling the infamous timeout and getting the timeout buff and leveled it 2-2. But after that, it was just Timbers Army all the way, and a lot of close games. But at least from my perspective, I feel like we outplayed Locals in those other games as well, even the games that were lost. And I think, yeah, the better team ended up winning on the day. And so, of course, that brings us to our winners final. Luis, you and I are going to be going at it, I think, hopefully next week. So that should be an absolute banger of a series for top 2 and a spot in the grand finals. So Of course, stay posted in the SGL Discord for when that'll pop up, but that'll be a crazy match, and of course, I'm looking forward to playing that match against Luis, good friend of mine. So we'll see how that goes. But I think our attention right now, as you mentioned before, does turn to this losers round 1 here. Of course, we are playing that upper one tonight in ECRC versus Black Army, the two kind of higher seeds, a 1 seed versus a 3 seed, which at this point I would say you just throw the seeds out the window at this point with all the craziness that's going on. But yeah, so one of these teams is going to move on into that losers round 2, and the other is going to go home. And then briefly to the locals and Rebellion are I don't think that's scheduled yet, but of course, like I said, keep tabs on the Discord for when that will be played out, because like you mentioned, Luis, Rebellion and locals, that's actually a closer game than I think people think.
Yeah, I think the Rebellion actually have a really good chance in that series. I know, obviously, locals being the higher seed, but again, I think if you talk to the Rebellion players, like I mentioned earlier, they feel they played pretty well against EM in their first matchup, despite the scoreline. So, yeah, I think that'll be a close series. And again, just kind of one of the we talk about a lot that a lot of these series are pretty close, and so I don't really think that there's gonna be many blowouts in that lower half of the table. So yeah, I think the Rebellion have a chance, and then I think obviously the locals as well have a chance, kind of to bounce back after from their perspective, a pretty disappointing series against Timber's Army. So look forward to that, and that game should actually be played on Tuesday. So coming up here in a couple nights, so we should have all of losers round 1 done here in the next few nights, and be moving on to that losers round 2 and winners final for your next SGL content. So be looking out for a stream on Tuesday night if you are a Rebellion or locals or SGL enjoyer, and yeah, that'll be coming up then.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because locals, of course, finishing as the 2 seed out of the regular season, really have just kind of lost their form over the last few weeks. I think it goes back to that last regular season matchup against Black Army. I think they just needed 2, if I'm not mistaken, I think they just needed 2 game wins in order to secure the 1 seed over Black Army, but Black Army ended up sweeping them. And so locals ended up being in the 2 seed, which of course doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because you get a bye, but of course it does matter for matchups and all of that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, they are, like we said, found themselves in the lower bracket versus the Rebellion. Luis, you said it's on Tuesday, so yes, please look out for that coming up on Tuesday. But of course, this is not the only playoff action that we have, or postseason action that we have. We also have a consolation tournament that is going on simultaneously with our SGL playoffs for the remaining teams that didn't quite make it into this upper playoff system. If we want to throw the consolation tournament table on our screen here, we can kind of take a look at that. And this format's going to be just a little bit different. It's going to be a round robin style tournament for these 5 teams, and then the top 2 are going to be playing for a championship. So every game and every series matters.
Yeah, every game matters here. Again, it's just simple. You play every team, and then if you get in those top 2 spots, you go on to the championship series. So tonight we obviously have Steel Army versus the Kansas City Cauldron. A very important game, I think. KC, not only it being their first game, but I think they are the favorites going into this series. So for them, it's going to be important to kind of get off on the right foot. And then for Steel Army, I think, again, we've spoken in previous broadcasts that I think Steel Army is kind of in that ballpark for battling with Emerald City Defiance for that number 2 spot. If you had to make some pre-tournament predictions for the SGL NIT that we're kind of running here for those college basketball fans. Yeah, how do you see this matchup tonight, right, Dog?
Yeah, truthfully, I do think this is kind of a top 2 matchup of this. We'll call it the NIT. I like that. Of this SGL Constellation Tournament. I think KC Cauldron, of course, they haven't played yet. They did have a week 1 bye, so of course they're catching up on games as we kind of continue through the tournament. But yeah, I think easily they're the favorites. It's a little bit disappointing their regular season and how it ended, and just kind of the way they played over the course of the season. Because of course, as an SGL fan and enjoyer, you know how good KC Cauldron is all the time, and so they just weren't able to put it together over the course of the season, which unfortunately led them to a must-win playoff or must-win game in, I think it was week 9 against Timbers Army, and Timbers Army won that in 5. And then of course by that point KC did not control their own destiny and ended up in the SGL Constellation Tournament instead of that 6th seed in the SGL playoffs. But nonetheless, yeah, I do think KC Cauldron do pull this out tonight. As much as I love Debit, my accounting friend, accounting gang, but we'll see, because KC Cauldron, like I said, they didn't play over the course of the regular season as well as maybe we would have hoped. So anything's possible. Anything is possible. And so yeah, I know that the Constellation Tournament bracket looks a little weird just because of the matches played, and of course KC not playing a single match. You've got Los Verdes and ECD playing 2 matches, and the other 2 teams playing 1, just because we are going with a little bit more free flowing schedule, which ultimately has been fairly nice. And so yeah, things might look a little bit weird, but as of course we play more games, things will start to shape out in the way that we think they are. And I guess my one question for you, Luis, before we jump into kind of a preview of our other match here, who do you got going into the championship for this SGL Constellation Tournament?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Steel Army and KC. I think tonight's matchup will be the championship series. Again, I just think that Steel Army EC Blue game will just kind of be that championship game for that second place spot. But again, crazier things have happened this season. Again, the defending champions are playing in the non-playoff postseason tournament. So again, this league is full of unpredictability. So yeah, I think if I had to play some money on it, I'd go Steel Army KC, with KC being the number 1 seed. But who knows? What are kind of your thoughts on that, right, Dog?
I agree. I think KC is going to be a for sure lock there in that 1 seed, and I think it's got to be between Steel Army and EC Blue, right, for that kind of number 2 who plays KC in the championship. I think it's going to be really close, and honestly, I think whatever happens in that EC Blue Steel Army series, which will be played in the coming weeks as well as part of the round robin, I think that series in itself will determine the number 2 position. So I got KC as a lock. If I had to put something on it, I might say Steel Army there. I think I got to go with my accounting brother in Debit there to get it done the rest of the way. So yeah, possibly a little SGL Constellation Tournament Championship preview tonight for you all as well. And of course, like you said, the unpredictability. It's fun. It's fun being a part of the unpredictability and never knowing what's going on. But at the same time, hopefully you don't bet your channel points on any of these games, because you never know what's going to happen. So nonetheless, here we go. Let's talk about the match at hand, at least the one that we have in front of us today. We've got ECRC versus Black Army. Luis, talk to me maybe about the keys for each team, going to try and win this match.
Yeah, I think for Black Army, I think the most obvious place to start is this team has a really high ceiling and a very low floor, it feels like. Just kind of evening out that variability, I think, would be really good for them. They play very chaotic Rocket League, which, again, can lead to some really highs and some really lows. So against an ECRC team that is pretty steady, you know what you're going to get. Look for Black Army, if they have any chance in the series, to have a little bit more even keel with their gameplay. And then for ECRC, again, I don't think they played their best against EM, and I think this is a bounce back for them. Like I said earlier, I think ECRC takes this. I think they're going to have a bounce back performance, just be the clinical, well-oiled kind of SGL team that we've seen from them. But yeah, I give it like a 70-30 in terms of ECRC winning this series. But I have it 4-2 in favor of the Seattle team. How do you see the matchup, right, Dog?
I was gonna say that's a really good percentage, because I think 4-2 is pretty close to 70%. So that's that works out really well. Yeah, I think Black Army. Can you connect on these solo plays? You've got 3 really mechanical, or depending on how deep Black Army decide to go, you've got 4 or 5 quality players that they can plug in at any time. Of course, maybe that hurts them a little bit with chemistry. I think you maybe saw that a little bit in the Timbers Army series, in that winners round 1. But it doesn't take away from the fact they've got solid players. So can they find the right 3 to kind of carry them through the rest of the tournament? I think that's key. And of course, that starts tonight against ECRC. And I think, yeah, like you mentioned, for ECRC, I watched part of that EM ECRC match, and I just didn't see a lot of passing plays. We're so used to ECRC with these infield passes, with Smashley and Toad just connecting on everything. Maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit of snooping going on. I did see it looks like Smashley, Gojo, and Toad Death are going to be the starting 3 for ECRC. So, you have these passing plays within Toad and Smashley, but then also, can you unlock Gojo? We've just seen, we see the clips in the SGL Discord of Gojo going crazy, but you really don't see that in the matches. So is there a way for Smashley and Toad to, maybe give Gojo that 3rd man, get him that boost, and have him go to work and kind of just put pressure on the Black Army side? But like I said, you really haven't seen it much so far this season for ECRC. And I guess I'll put a score on it. I will also, I think this is closer than people think. This is gonna go to 7, and I think I'm gonna give it to ECRC. I'm not super confident in that. I don't think I would put money on it if I had any money, just because of how close this series actually is. Because I do believe in the Black Army bounce back. I think they will take this super seriously, and they will find a way to win. And maybe they have a little bit of vengeance from when the Seattle boys knocked them out of the MLS playoffs about a week ago. So we'll see if that that has anything to do with it as well. But we are getting closer and closer to kickoff, just about a minute or two. We've got one of our teams in the lobby. We're just waiting for the other one, of course. I guess while we wait for ECRC to join the lobby, Luis, do we want to briefly talk about the KC Cauldron Army series and kind of the keys for them?
Yeah, I think this series is just going to come down to whether or not the better players on the better team play better. That sounds very, very simple in the analysis, but yeah, I think KC. I think this series is pretty straightforward for them. They have the better players. They should be the better team, and yeah. That's essentially what it's going to come down to. I think they're rocking Serrano, Smitty, and then I can kind of look here who's their 3rd. They have also Thorn Gold. So yeah, across the board, they should win. But with KC all season, you could say that a lot in a lot of series that they ended up not winning. So yeah, so that's just kind of my analysis on that series.
No, it's funny because I know exactly what you're talking about, and I guess for the people at home that maybe don't understand, what that entails is KC have once again, very much like Black Army, have 4 or 5 just absolutely incredible individual players, and just to see them in this consolation tournament is just crazy, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. As that game is going to be kicked off right now, as we kind of do a little live look in, and yeah, it's going to be Serrano, Smitty, and Thorngold there for KC, and I think they just have a lot of individual prowess, right? Like, can they get going? And of course, for Steel Army, it's kind of the exact opposite. Can you stop all of those, great players? I think Smitty was a player that I was absolutely scared of when we played them in that Week 9 match that went to 5. Smitty was going absolutely crazy and hitting lots of really good shots and peaking, unfortunately, at the right time. As you speak of the devil and he'll score, Smitty opens the game for KC in front. So it's going to be a good 50 from Smitty over Debit to get them on the board first. So we'll see how that plays out over the course of game 1 and the rest of the series.
Yeah, we should remind the viewers we are streaming this secondary game on Discord, so if there's not 100% perfect resolution, we do apologize. We're just trying to get as much SGL content for you tonight. Obviously, the main match tonight's going to be the playoffs, lower round 1, the ECRC Black Army series. We are bringing you the NIT Consolation Tournament as well. And then speaking of our main match, Rydog, here we go. Black Army versus ECRC. Winner goes on, loser unfortunately leaves us for Season 8.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it just comes down to too which team is going to start faster first. I think ECRC typically have had issues starting series strong, and typically they've gone down a game or two and then kind of have understood, you know, the task at hand and have made really good in between series adjustments or in between game adjustments. I think they're one of the best teams in the league at doing that. But can you do that early enough to where you give yourself a chance? As Gojo and Eric Saunders are going to come together on a 50 as this ball's just kind of hanging out in the midfield. And here comes Vex, a player that you do not want to give the ball and space and boost to. So that is definitely going to be something to watch for as well.
Yeah, Vex, the highlight player. We always talk about him whenever it's a Black Army broadcast. Ride Dog, it feels like. But yeah, he's the standout player mechanically for Black Army. And so if they are going to have any chance in this series, and again, I think a lot of people would give them a little bit of a chance, but as I say that, Ride Dog, a bit of a team bump. Martez, unfortunately, passing to a wide open net. Gojo takes advantage. Smashley, actually lovely 50 by Smashley. I thought it was a back pass by Martez, but no, Smashley on the 50, right to Gojo. 1-0 to ECRC, and yeah, that's about as good of a start as you could have asked for.
Yeah, the team bump absolutely doing wonders for ECRC there, and of course, if you're Black Army, you definitely want to clean that up a little bit as the series goes on. But yeah, it comes from Gojo too, which, like I mentioned before in the pre-show, you want to unlock him a little bit on the offensive end, of course, and it's weird to say that because you have an MVP candidate in Toad Death who scored the most goals, I think, in the SGL season. I think it was 58 or 59, maybe I could be wrong. But an insane amount of goals as, once again, ECRC still on the attack here in the orange half, but like I said, it's weird to say that you want Gojo, of all people, to pop off, as he's going to read this down, but nobody's going to be there to follow up. Smashley does come late, and it's going to go barred down and in, so take back everything I said about ECRC starting slow, and they've got a 2-0 lead.
Lovely backboard read from Gojo there. Smashley finishes upper 90. Gojo already having massive impact on this game, number one. And honestly, you love to see that. He's one of the most skillful players we do have in the league, and so far he's making his impact shown, Ride Dog. And it's working wonders for ECRC.
Smashley's going to get another shot. Toad can't follow this up as Vex missed the backboard read. And yeah, where do you go from here if you're Black Army? They just really haven't shown too much on the offensive end. It seems very much like they're just kind of throwing the ball downfield and not really connecting with each other. Smashley's going to get another angle, and it's going to go in. Unbelievable start for ECRC.
Yeah, tremendous start. Vex with a bit of a center ball there. He probably doesn't want that touch to go there, but Smashley says, thank you very much, I'll take that. 3-0 ECRC, and again, this is kind of the stuff that we talk about with Black Army. Very high ceiling, very low floor. Right now, this is not the start that you want from Black Army, who historically in some series has had some, I don't want to say bad mental when going down, but this is not the start they wanted. This is the start, however, that ECRC wanted. Gojo with the 4th goal for them. Tremendous redirect into the bottom 90. Martez can't get there. And man, we haven't even played half the game, Ride Dog, and this game is already feels like it's over.
Yeah, it's definitely an endangered coming a route for sure, as we see kind of a fake kickoff from Black Army. A little bit of creativity. Can Martez get on this? He can't, but it's kind of ironic too, like I mentioned, Toad Death coming in with 2 assists, even though he was the one leading the league in goals during the regular season. As here comes Gojo with a flip reset. Didn't actually get it, I don't think, or didn't get the opportunity to do it, as Toad Death's going to try and read this off the ceiling and can't. But yeah, it's going to be a pair of goals from Gojo and a pair of goals from Smashley. And so, yeah, ECRC clicking on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, very comfortable. Not much is threatening the net right now. They also have 2 people in net. As I say that, another nice save comes in from ECRC. This is one of the things with the ECRC. You don't really want to be going down to this sort of team, Ride Dog. They have a really good defensive posture about them. Very good rotations. Very hard to break through. And so 4 goals is going to be a tough task for this Black Army team, who really have not threatened much at all this first game.
Absolutely, and as we count down, 90 seconds left here in Game 1 for Black Army, maybe to get some momentum going into Game 2, as Smashley's going to get a mistouch. Can Gojo get back? He doesn't have a lot of boost. Can Vex get a demo? There's the momentum that you want. Eric Saunders is going to finish off A beautiful demo play from Vex to get Black Army on the board. Yeah, like I said, just a little bit of momentum going into the next game. And honestly, there's plenty of time. If you can get another one maybe before the minute mark, you make that last minute really interesting.
Yeah, it's always good to get your first goal under your belt, even in a blowout. Getting one goal is really nice. And again, yeah, if they get an early goal here within the next 10, 15 seconds, there is some momentum as Eric maybe should have left that for Martez. Martez coming in, it could have been a decent shot on goal, but Gojo the other way, double tap attempt, missed, but Toe Death is there. 5 goals for ECRC. If Gojo had like 12 more boosts there, I think he's double tapping that, but runs out of boost. Toe Death is there, and any sort of momentum, right, dog, that was gained in the previous goal is all but erased from ECRC. And yeah, should be the nail in the coffin for Black Army. And if you're Black Army, right, dog, you got to kind of just use this next minute to kind of dust things off. As I see a great pass there in what should have been a goal for a player of Vex's quality. But yeah, you use this next minute. It's basically a timeout. Kind of regroup and say how do we do better in game 2, and kind of just forget about the result here.
Absolutely, and I did want to bring to the attention as well, as this ball's still hanging out in the orange half here of KC Cauldron did take game 1 over Steel Army. It was a little closer than maybe people would have thought. It was 4-2, and it was 3-2 with about 20 seconds left, and then Thorn Gold, I think, put the nail in the coffin there. So maybe a good series brewing over there as well, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think those series are best of 5s. And these are best of 7s. Is that a correct statement, Luis? Am I getting that right?
It is a best of 5 on the little screen on your right-hand corner, but speaking of shooting things in some corners, Vexamed gets on the board there for Black Army. Wasn't really in the corner, so bad phrase for me, but 5-2 for Black Army. Yeah, we're just kind of waiting for game 2 here on this series, on the series on your on the main channel here. I think this has kind of been a game, set, and match since bit over the midway mark, right, dog. So I think both teams. It's kind of one of those things in Rocket League as the seconds wind down, where both teams kind of recognize the game's over. So we're just waiting for the time to go down. But ECRC take game number 1 very comfortably. This is the ECRC that we have all come to expect in SGL play, and they take game number 1 in very convincing fashion.
And the thing about ECRC too, you can talk about, you know, the individual players from Toad or Gojo just popping off, but if you look at, of course you guys can't see the scoreboard, you guys are watching the KC Cauldron Steel Army match, but every single player on ECRC, all 3 of them, were within 51 points of each other, which is crazy, right? They all share the ball, they all get involved in the attack, and that's what kind of makes them so hard to defend. Is I think we're gonna see a sub come out for Black Army. We'll see if that's official here in a moment. But yeah, ECRC showing the prowess early and taking game 1, which I think bodes well for them. Like I said, typically they start pretty slow, so if they're starting fast in these series, that just means they're already warmed up and already ready to go. And I'd be a little bit worried if I was Black Army.
Yeah, I think alarm bells are ringing for Black Army after that game number 1. ECRC, a team. You mentioned the score board after the game, and yeah, they're a team. You're never going to have usually a player who's just by far and away, leading the scoreboard above the others. They're one of the best teams that we have in SGL in terms of that sort of gameplay. So, clinical game number 1. And really, I think Gojo had a very good performance. I do want to highlight him, although we mentioned the team aspect. I think Gojo was tremendous. And if Gojo can play up to his level, I think this could be a pretty quick series for ECRC in this first lower round 1 game.
Absolutely, and I do want to highlight the other stream as well. You probably saw it on the side of your screen as Raisin Boy was put in a top cheddar shot to tie the game, game 2 at 1. Over there on the mini screen that you guys are viewing, as we're going to start this game on the blue end, as it's going to be a shot from Eric Sonner. It's going to go high and wide in the end, but can Black Army sustain this pressure? And it is going to be a sub. It's going to be Killazapo in for Vexamed, which is a little bit interesting as Toad Death. Can he find the upper corner? It's going to be a great save from Killazapo in the end, but yeah, we'll see if that sub changes anything for Black Army.
Killazapo into the game, a perennial streamer. You'll see him on your Twitch feed if you're ever watching Twitch. He's a grinder. He's one of the grinders we have in SGL. So good to see him in the lineup. Yeah, let's see how this substitution affects their gameplay. And correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I'm not in the lobby. Is there no Vexamed in this lineup here for Black Army?
No Vexamed in this lobby for Black Army. He was the one that was traded out for Killazapo. As he's going to get back to this. It's actually an open net for the time being, but Gojo does race back in time. As Killazapo is going to play this and keep the pressure on, but Smashly's up so fast. And Gojo gets a demo on the other end, but it's not going to amount to anything so far for ECRC as we stay level. Just over a minute played, but it's been good so far for Black Army. I think they've kept pressure. Of course, the ball is kind of more in the orange half now as Toe Death. Okay, commentator's curse. I'm taking a page out of Debit's book. Toe Death is going to get a beautiful pass from Gojo. And yeah, ECRC once again starting the goal train early.
Yeah, ECRC getting off to another really good start for them. But yeah, again, interesting to see already in game 2, Vexamed not in this lineup for Black Army. It would be an interesting question in a post-game interview to kind of interrogate a bit of their lineup decisions so far, not only this playoffs, but just kind of in general this season. So Vexamed, I think perennially known as their best player, not on the field. So we'll see how that affects their game number 2. So far, I mean, it's a little bit of a better start. I know they are trailing, but I think so far, right, a little bit of a better start than what we saw in game number 1. A little bit more under control. So so far, so good for both teams. But yeah, I think Black Army playing a little bit better so far than we saw in that game number 1.
Absolutely, as they're getting some more attacks, as Gojo's going to save one off the goal line from Martez and pick this up. But this is where you want Gojo with boost, as he's going to use this flip to get back to the ball and center it, but Martez is there to clear it out in the end. As I'm going to bring to your attention as well that you can see on the mini screen as well, Steel Army up 1 on KC Cauldron in game 2, as Serrano's not going to get that one to connect. As like I said, keep a close eye on that one, as that's going to be a piss missile of a shot from Smashly. It's going to cause 2 to go from Black Army, but they end up dealing with it in the end. But yeah, honestly, for Black Army though, they just keep throwing the ball away. Can they find, there we go, perfect, Eric, just keep the ball. I know you don't have a lot of boost, but can you win a 50 here? Perfect. And maybe start something there. It's just, I feel like for Black Army, they just throw the ball away constantly, and it's just easy for ECRC to pick it up and go the other way.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the analysis of just kind of keeping the ball, playing for some 50s. Especially in this league, I think just kind of giving the ball away is a recipe for disaster in terms of kind of the play styles we see. We do see a lot of teams like to sit back, play in their net, not very adventurous, where a lot of those longer balls may be more advantageous under different play styles. But as we see here, Mart has a great control. Unfortunate not to get a double tap, but yeah, so far 1 goal game. I think ECRC is still pretty comfortable here. Right, Dog, I think although the scoreboard isn't as lopsided as game 1, I think they're pretty comfortable here. But on the flip side, I think Black Army too. I think you're loving where you're at right now. 1 goal game are some of the best positions to be in when you have a pretty rough blowout in game number 1. So far, I'm liking where both teams are at. It's just going to come down to who has the better nerve here in the last minute.
I completely agree with that as well, as KC are going to tie it up against Steel Army going into the last 30 seconds of that game, as well as Gojo's going to clear this out here right to Eric Saunders. But yeah, I agree completely. It's looked a lot better, and I think it's something to note as well. Just wanted to let the viewers know as well. Smashly is going to put this one on target. It's going to, of course, kill Zappo up. Smashly again going to find that left corner. It's not going to connect. Ball's going to be kind of cleared out as Killazapo gets another touch on it. But this game is being played on East, US East servers, which you're probably like, well, LAFC and Seattle are on the West Coast. That is correct, but ECRC wanted to play on East, so I don't know if that, you can kind of see it, or we can kind of see it in the lobby for ping reasons. LAFC just don't have a lot of, or Black Army doesn't have a lot of ping, or has higher ping. As we can see, Smashly's going to dive in and force an epic save out of Martez, but yeah, maybe that throws a wrench into Black Army's plans, as this was going to squirt away, but we're going to go to overtime. Killazapo keeps this up. I'm not sure why. Oh, they actually need to score. That's why. As this ball's going to just float into the end. Can Gojo get another touch? It's going to go down, and ECRC up 2-0.
Yeah, ECRC, although a 1-0 scoreline, right, Dog, I think that was pretty comfortable for them. They seem to have had really no issues at the back from Black Army in that series. But for Black Army too, I think that's a good bounce back. Of course, you don't want to lose games, but I think after that game number one, I think it's a really good bounce back for them. And if they can just convert on a couple more chances, they might have a better chance of extending this series. But so far, so good for ECRC. Up 2-0, very comfortable. Yeah, I think they're just going to keep rolling this. And I'm interested to see if Vexmed returns to the lineup because I think that you have to be playing your best players at this time of the season, no matter if the vibes are down or what may be the case. I always think that you need to at least put your best foot forward with your best players. So look for Vexamed to return, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe there's alternative issues going on within the team as we maybe get some post-game interviews and we can kind of inquire about the state of him and maybe other rotations. But again, comfortable for ECRC. 1-0 doesn't really do it justice. They weren't really threatened at all, to be honest, in that game number 2.
Absolutely, and I will mention too that Black Army has rotated their lineup quite a bit over the course of the season, so this is not like a unusual thing here in the playoffs. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that they haven't found their best three to kind of put them kind of forward in a better position. As we do see Vexamed coming back into the game and going to start with the ball off the backboard, and it's going to be cleared out by Toad Death. So we'll see what Vexamed can do here in this game 3. Of course, they are down 2-0, and honestly, if they go down 3 games, I see no chance for a reverse sweep at all. So they really, really, really need this game 3. As did also want to highlight as well on the mini stream, as we see Serrano getting KC on the board in game 3, but Steel Army took a game. And so they took game 2, and that series is level 1-1. So good on Steel Army for keeping it close with KC, as I think we all thought KC would maybe win that comfortably, but it's good to see that as once again Gojo and ECRC just non-relenting on the attack. As that little pinch is going to go wide for Kilozapo, but here comes ECRC down the other end.
Yeah, and you mentioned Vexamed returning to the lineup. So far, I'm kind of liking the play out of Black Army. They've had a couple chances just kind of go a little bit over the crossbar. And so right now, if you are Black Army, you mentioned this is basically a must-win game. Reverse sweeps against the team of ECRC is basically impossible. And so Black Army really needs to win this game. And you'd like to see Vexamed get going for them just to have a confidence boost in your best player playing his best balls. We see some whiffs coming out, Smashly in the air. Almost an own goal from Martez. This might be a goal. Good goal line clearance from Vexamed. Very dangerous spot there, right on. That really could have easily been 1-0.
Absolutely, and I think now the next steps for Black Army, as they've kind of stabilized, of course, like you mentioned, in that game 2 and into this game 3, is can you now throw off ECRC? I think you've established yourself a little bit better over these, the last game and a half, but now can you throw ECRC off? Can you get some demos? Can you get some bumps? Can you get some boost steals to kind of completely take them out of the game and kind of tip the scales in your favor, if you will, as this ball is still kind of hanging out on the orange head. This is going to be a crazy shot from Kilozapo. It's not going to go in. It's going to go off the crossbars. Once again, this ball's still kind of hanging out in the blue half, but Toad Death has adapted really well to being kind of more of a third man during this series. Like I said, during the regular season, he was the golden striker for them, and of course across the league as well, but he's adapted really well and allowed Gojo to kind of do his thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's just kind of one of the brilliance of just how ECRC plays. They allow everybody to play at their best. As we see a breakaway here, 50 from Gojo. Lovely 50 away from danger, but Martez is there. He misses the double tap. I think he messed up on his dodge. That was a clear chance for Black Army. Ball's still in their net, or in their end, sorry. Ball's almost in their net, and it's actually now in their net. Martez on the board. Black Army have a lead. It was coming, it must be said, in this game number 3. They are playing easily the best ball that we've seen so far tonight on stream.
Yeah, absolutely, and I actually want to go back to that Martez ball off the double tap. He actually hit one against Timber's Army, I remember, I think it was game 2. Or game 3 maybe, that was just really, really good. And so I was getting like PTSD flashbacks when he was up there off the ceiling, but unfortunately that one isn't gonna connect. But nonetheless, yeah, Black Army playing a heck of a lot better, and of course getting the scoreboard to show for it.
Yeah, and this could be number 2. Vexamed almost there. A cut by Martez here. A lot of pressure being applied on the blue end of the pitch. They've obviously talked about it in the intermission because this is a very different play style, although whiffs like that are not going to do them any justice if they want to continue to win this game. Toe Death with a bit of a misplay, but it ends up being a good play. Gojo on the board. Let's take a peek here. Toe Death comes across, fakes it, misses it, one of the two. Gojo happens to be in the right place at the right time. Equalizer for ECRC. And that's just kind of one of those plays there where the cohesion of ECRC really shines.
Absolutely. As Black Army are going to look to respond instantly as Toe Death is forced to make a save on the goal line, but yeah, ECRC always find a way to claw back. They're never out of games completely, as we've known. Toe Death gets a bump. I'm not sure from who. It looks like Vexamed gave him a little nudge, allowed him to miss. As Toe Death's gonna try and follow this up and get a pinch out with Gojo. But once again, yeah, this ball is slipping more and more on the orange half, or on the blue half, excuse me, which bodes well for Black Army as Toe Death is gonna settle this down. And a bit of miscommunication there from Black Army as he's really putting pressure on the ball, but Vexamed is gonna try and clear this out.
Black Army does end up clearing the ball here. 40 seconds left, tie ball game. ECRC has responded way better since the initial goal for Black Army. Vexamed here runs out of boost, but I'm liking ECRC's rebound here, Rye Dog. They conceded that first goal, but ever since then I've really liked the game plan, and which really is not changing much. They're ECRC, they're doing ECRC things. So 15 seconds left here. I think ECRC are favored. If you had to ask me who's going to get the next goal, low boost for Black Army, shot on net. Kilazapo very comfortable in the catch. 5 seconds here. Can he keep the ball up? It's an open net. He is going to score. Kilazapo over all 3 ECRC defenders in what looked like a very just tame play, Rye Dog. He happens to beat all 3 and puts his team up with 1 second left in game number 3.
Huge goal for Black Army, not even just in the sense of the game, but just for the series as a whole. As this kickoff is going to be popped up, it's going to require teams to get it done in the air, and it's not. Black Army spikes it down, and it's going to be Black Army taking game number 3 to get themselves back in this series. And yeah, I want to go back to that goal in the end. There was maybe a little miscommunication from Gojo and Toe Death. They were kind of right on top of each other there on the ECRC right-hand wall, kind of on the left side of the field attacking. And yeah, it just the ball just got put over the top of both of them, and the net was open, which is just a huge mistake for ECRC. So of course we'll see kind of how the momentum kind of shifts over the course of this next game here, as KC Cauldron there on the other stream is going to get the game 3 dub, so they're going to be up 2-1 in this series. And of course that one is a best of 5, so KC just needs one more game to win the series, as Smitty's going to get them on the board in that possibly series clinching game. But coming back to this game, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how ECRC respond from that error kind of in the last few seconds there.
Yeah, and again, I just think overall Game 3 was a step up in terms of Black Army's play. That Black Army played tremendous in that game number 3. It felt like 2 different teams from their games 1 and 2 performance. So good bounce back from Black Army. We said it was a must-win game. You don't want to go down 3-0 in a best of 7. And so this game 4 could really tip the scales in terms of momentum. It's a very important game. ECRC could go on triple match point, or Black Army could turn this series into a best of 3. And so here we go. Kilazapo, Vexamed, and is it Martez there in for Black Army versus the 3 we've been seeing for ECRC. As we see some tremendous demos from Gojo, the mechanical player turning into a bit of the physical player there for ECRC, knocking people off of the field, and Toe Death with the easiest goal he will score in SGL. 1-0 ECRC, and honestly, Rye Dog, that's a really good bounce back start for them.
Yeah, absolutely, especially for Gojo, which I'll say, I don't know, it was kind of his mistake there on that game 3 goal given up with 1 second left. Toad was kind of already there on that side, and Gojo just crept up maybe a little bit too far. So it's good to see that he was he's getting back in the swing of things. Of course, put that mistake behind him as he's gonna switch cars to the Fennec here. As he's gonna go for some no-touch dribbling, and it's not gonna work out in the end. As demos are now flying all over the place for both teams here in this pivotal game. But like you mentioned, Luis says, well, hold on a minute. Vexamed says we're gonna tie this game back up.
Vexamed, I need to see this again. It feels like the ball went through Gojo's car here. He is the only player in the eastern United States, so you'd feel like he'd have a better 50 contact there, but somehow Vexamed finds the corner. Tremendous shot from Vex, and wow, what a response from Black Army. And Vexamed's starting to get going here for Black Army, which is exactly what the doctor ordered if you are the LAFC contingent here. And yeah, very good start from both of the best players on both teams.
Absolutely, as we see Gojo being the third man, he's not going to get the touch he wants, as Martez is not going to get that boost, as Smashley just keeps hunting for demos. Kind of taking the physical game and keeping it going. He's just going to play this off the backboard. It's not going to get the read that he wants, but it's going to cause a lot of chaos in the front of the net, and as this ball squirts out back to the ECRC backboard, Toad says, thank you very much. I will collect and do my thing starting from the back. As, of course, as we see in the other game as well, KC Cauldron taking a 3-2 lead on Steel Army. In, like I said, that pivotal game for KC win, they win the series. And Steel Army need to win this game to take it to a game 5. So that, of course, is an interesting series as well. But I want to go back to kind of what I was mentioning before Vexamed scored the tying goal there, of how important this game is. I've always said it, that middle game is always super, super important. Right, it is, and you kind of mentioned it, Luis, of you either go onto triple match point for one of the teams, or you bring it back level and completely, flip the script for the series. And of course, if Black Army win this game, it's gonna, give me a little bit of flashbacks to the Timbers Army Locals series, where Timbers Army had a really fast start and took the first 2 games, and then Locals kind of clawed back and took the next 2 to tie it up 2-2. So we'll see, of course, as this game kind of stables out here a little bit, who is going to be the one to tip the scales in their favor.
Yeah, both teams exchanging ping pong balls here, not really controlling, but as I say that, Killazapo again, just, I don't know what it is when the ball is on his car. The sea opens up, Noah just kind of does his thing, or sorry, my Old Testament knowledge is very bad, so I do apologize. But yeah, 2-1 for Black Army. Killazapo on the score sheet again. Was it Moses? Yeah, I'm sorry. I do apologize for all my Old Testament brethren. But yeah, Killazapo 2-1 for Black Army. And you mentioned it, this series could be going to a best of 3 if Black Army continues to play like this. A whiff from Vexamed could have made it 3 there, but Rydog, it's very clear, I think, to everybody watching that this is a different Black Army team than those first 2 games we saw.
Absolutely, and I was going to ask you, because I'm really not sure, what the difference is. I think it's maybe, ECRC maybe stepping off the gas a little bit, and I think, yeah, Black Army just as a whole is just playing a heck of a lot better, too. So I think it's just the combo of 2 things, but I don't know if you see maybe anything different that would allow Black Army to kind of get back in this series.
I mean, really, the only strategic stuff that I've noticed so far in this game, it seems like ECRC is really going for the physical plays, and maybe that's allowing Black Army to have more space. But as I say that, Smashley almost ties the game there. As we see a double commit here from ECRC, this could be a golden chance for Black Army. Martez on net, goes for the bump. Smashley there with a tremendous save. But we are seeing a bit of uncharacteristic whiffs out of ECRC here that we just didn't really see in games 1 and 2. And so maybe it's not what Black Army's doing, right, Doggo, but it's more of what ECRC is not doing at the moment.
Absolutely, as Toad Death is going to play this off to the side after Killazapo puts another shot on net. And yeah, I think Black Army are now starting to win more of these balls in the midfield. I think, in those first 2 games, you could easily say, yeah, ECRC is dominating the midfield. Black Army cannot get out of their own half. And I think now in these last 2 games, you've kind of seen the scales tip in their favor. It's just going to be a mosh pit in front of the Black Army net, and they get out of it as Toad Death's going to try and pinch this, and it's at least a little bit on it, but it's going to be cleared out by Martez, and that actually might be on target. It's going to go off the crossbar. Is there going to be a follow-up? It's going to be a really good read from Toad Death here in the back to keep this a 1-goal game. But yeah, ECRC do have to score. They are down in this game as Vexamed's going to get, we'll call it a fake. after not having any boost. But here comes Toad Death. It's going to be an easy challenge from Kilizopoulos. It's not going to get it on target. And now ECRC have to do it in the air. It's going to be an early challenge from Vexamed. Toad Death's going to go up. Artis is going to challenge in the air. Gojo, can he keep this up? He cannot. And Black Army come back in games 3 and 4 and level this series at 2-2.
Yeah, tremendous bounce back from Black Army here. I'd love to know what they did, but I do want to pause that. We have 6 seconds left. KC on match point. Can Steel Army extend this game? Serrano to the ground in classic drop shot fashion, and KC Cauldron end up taking this series 3-1. So GG's to KC Cauldron and GG's to Steel Army. This is a BO5 for those if you are watching the stream. But yeah, GG's over here, and then yeah, kind of just getting back to the feature series. I think this might be just a good time to call timeout for ECRC. I think that they kind of just need to regroup a little bit here, kind of get back to what they were doing in games 1 and 2. Maybe less of the physical plays and more just 50ing the ball, staying behind your player. Saw a lot of double commits come out, especially in that game number 2. So yeah, if you're ECRC here, get back to what you were doing better in game 1. And then Black Army, man, just keep riding the wave. The wave is you know, a key to winning a prolonged series in Rocket League. Momentum is just so huge. As you know, Right Dog, you do have your team and yourself have a history with momentum in these sorts of series. So here we go, best of 3, game number 5, ECRC versus Black Army. Any substitutions? I don't really see any from
No,
either
I don't
side.
think so. Yeah, no subs.
No subs, Right Dog, and here we go. Let's see if Black Army can carry the momentum, or have ECRC talked about it and regrouped and said, hey, we're ECRC, we're going to get this done, and not extend this game to not extend the series, excuse me, to a game 7.
As Toad Death once again is going to clear it off the goal line as Black Army starting this game 5 on the attack. So ECRC, you're going to try and put this one off the backboard. It's going to be a really good touch. I'm not sure which Black Army player got there, but it was a really, really good touch in the end. But I want to go back to your point, Luis, about the physicality from ECRC. And because there's definitely a difference, right? There's a difference between getting demos when they're included in your rotations, right? If you're sweeping the net or, you know, something like that. And there's times when you're getting demos and it's completely against the run of play. You're going and targeting players and kind of ruining the rotation. And so I felt like that maybe happened a little bit more for ECRC in that game 4, where, you know, you saw Smashley or really any 3 of them, or all 3 of them, going for demos and kind of, you know, leaving rotation quite a bit to get those demos. And of course that did not bode well for them because they just can't keep the ball. They just couldn't get the attack going the way they wanted to because they're trying to remove players from the field. And of course the reward there is so good, but when you're not connecting on those offensive end, it doesn't really matter, as Vexamed's going to get a save from Gojo's shot from a pass from Toad Death. So as this game's kind of stabilized, a little bit back and forth as we're kind of maybe more camping out in the orange half, but really, really good start from both teams here as Vexamed is going to play himself off the backboard, and nobody was really home for ECRC. I think it was Smashley there, but just got beat off of this backboard read. And it's going to be Black Army turning the tables completely and getting the lead in game 5.
Yeah, Vexamed just throws a ball there. Kind of interesting on the mid boost grab there from Toad Death. Might have been, obviously hindsight is 100% 2020. Might have been better just to go back to the net there, but great start for Black Army. And we spoke about it, you know, what team is going to continue the trend that we've seen over these past few games. And so far, Black Army are continuing the momentum, Right Dog. They're playing really cohesive Rocket League that we've been seeing in this game's 3 and 4, and right now for ECRC, I think maybe a little bit loss of ideas, which is something you don't really say about a team that is notorious for being one of, if not the best team in SGL. So a really, really critical half game here for either side, as we see a great save from Smashley, good corner read on a pretty tough angle. And so I might look to Gojo here as we see almost an own goal. Vexamed plays the ball off his own upper 90. I do want to see, and I was going to finish that thought, I do want to see Gojo get more involved here, maybe a little more solo plays here, aerials, flip resets, that sort of thing, to see if ECRC can get the game tying goal. But as we say goals, Right Dog, Vexamed his second goal of game number 5. We see a ball off the sidewall from Kilizapo. Vexamed low 50. No one home for ECRC, and it's 2-0 to Black Army.
You said it yourself. I think it was after the end of game 2. You said Vexaben needs to be on the field and make a difference for Black Army, and he's absolutely doing that in this game 5. As he's gonna, unfortunately, not get back to the save. As Smash is gonna put it in to cut the lead in half for Black Army. But yeah, Vexamed being a complete difference maker in these last few games as well, whether it be on the score sheet or just being a presence out on the field, like you mentioned, like I said in that game 2 loss. Black Army has just found themselves, and I think, like I said, I think part of that has to do with just ECRC not playing up to their standards. They seem to be now throwing the ball away and not connecting like they did in those first few games, which they won, as Toadet's going to get a huge clear down the field. But so we'll see if ECRC can make those kind of adjustments, as we see a little team bump there from Black Army. It's not going to amount to anything at the moment, but yeah, it's a really, really good gameplay from Black Army, and let's see if they can keep it going moving forward.
Yeah, I do want to highlight Smashley with that goal. That's super important for ECRC. That was almost a perfect goal for ECRC's perspective. They conceded 2 goals, but Smashley getting that goal right back puts them within 1, and so they're right back in this game. And with 1:30 left, again, I do think Black Army has been the better of the two sides, but really that goal is almost saving ECRC's dreams here of winning this game number 5. And yeah, a minute left. It's going to be an individual person who comes to the rescue of either one of these teams, as we almost saw a goal there, a tremendous demo out of Black Army for what would have been a very, very tough shot for them to save. And so far, I think Black Army are liking the spot that they're at. Just kind of play the boost game, take the boost, play more defense, and if you're ECRC here, maybe look for your teammates. Or if Gojo has an open solo play, look for his mechanical prowess. But right now, Rydog, it's going to take something special, I think, in order to beat this Black Army team.
Yeah, ECRC look frantic right now. A lot of double commits, a lot of just giving the ball away, just like that from Smashley. Who's that to? It's not to anybody. We're used to, seeing those passes from Smashley and the rest of the ECRC crew, as it's going to be Kilizapo with a huge 50-50 in the air. That's going to squeak into the goal. It was Gojo and Toaddeath. Once again, a double commit there from ECRC, and Kilizapo says thank you very much and grabs an insurance goal with 26 seconds left. So could this be a 3-game series swing for Black Army? Unbelievable.
Yeah, 20 seconds left to go here. I was going to mention something before the goal. It was very obvious that just Martez was hitting the ball and then returning to the goalkeeper spot to protect that 1-goal lead. Obviously, with 2-goal lead here, with 8 seconds left, that rotation's no longer in play. But just kind of giving the ball away there at the end, and Black Army takes full advantage. They are on match point now, winning 3 straight games after going down 0-2, like you mentioned. But yeah, it's kind of interesting there. When it was a 1-goal game, it just seems like Black Army always had somebody in the net, and a ball would find its way there. And so, not really liking the just kind of giving the ball away there if you're ECRC. And the ECRC is one of the literally probably the best team in SGL in terms of passing. So look for them to change that as we go to Neo Tokyo. And I am now in the lobby, so I can take part in some of the stats that we were mentioning. Only 3 shots for ECRC in a pivotal game number 5 to LAFC's Black Army's 9. And so pretty dominant win there for Black Army. Yeah, I'm just kind of lost for words with what we've seen so far, right, dog? This has been a complete turnaround.
Yeah, 100% agree. And just a few things to note. We're going to Luis's favorite map in Neo Tokyo, so we'll see if ECRC can turn it around. Also, congratulations to KC Cauldron for them taking the series on Steel Army as well. But I hate to say it, but we're gonna come back to this point, Luis. That game 3 mistake from Toaddeath and Gojo has completely flipped this series around.
Yeah, I think not only that, I think one of the things in these sort of longer series when you're playing on the away servers too, it might take some time. I don't know if the Black Army guys were warming up on East servers, but whatever the case may be, whatever the reason is for the change, I'm really looking for Black Army, or excuse me, ECRC here to really put their foot down and show us the quality that we know they have. Speaking of that, Gojo almost centers the ball to a Black Army player, not the touches you want to be seeing, as we see a tremendous play by Kilazapo. Isidore, he is balling right now. I want to highlight his gameplay. He is putting in a tremendous shift for Black Army, a shot on net. Gojo happens to be there with 0 boost, but so far, the better start here is for Black Army.
Yeah, what's it gonna take for ECRC to turn this around as Gojo's gonna play this off the backboard and Smash is gonna get a shot, but Martez says absolutely not, with an incredible save off the goal line to keep this scoreless in game 6 as Smash is gonna try and find Toad Death, and it's gonna be really weird. He's gonna leave it for Gojo, who gets demoed off the field. So Black Army will reset again, but yeah, Black Army looking like the better of the teams as Vexaman is gonna find, or Martez, excuse me, is gonna find Kilazapo, and just against the run of play, it's gonna be Black Army to take the lead in game 6.
Gojo goes for his back left boost, leaves the net open, a tremendous center ball, and I mentioned Kilazapo. He puts his team in the lead on match point. But I want to highlight the save on the other end that you mentioned. I mean, a tremendous double from Gojo to have what looked to be a wide open net for Smashly, but Martez on like no negative boost finds a save there. So every little play is falling in the favor of the LA team. It just kind of feels like it's just not ECRC's day, but plenty of time left. We have over 3.5 minutes, and this should be a goal. But Kilazapo on, again, 3 or 4 boosts, finds a tremendous save. LAFC, the Black Army guys, are saving everything, Rydog. It feels like one of those games where nothing that you do works.
Absolutely, and like I mentioned, and it's a rhetorical question, like a half rhetorical question, half real question to answer, is who's going to be the difference maker now for ECRC, is they need a goal to stay alive in this series. Of course, they end up needing 2 to stay alive in this series. This is going to be a double demo from Gojo and Vexamed, but Toaddeath is just going to fling this one on target. It's not going to amount to anything. Is Gojo, there's a double commit for Black Army. Let's see if ECRC can kind of play with this, but Smashly doesn't get the read he wants with no boost. Is this ball's going to pinch out? Is that on target? It's not going to be. Yes, but there's another double commit from Toad and Gojo. Just maybe the comms are just not what they were in the first early games for ECRC, because these double commits are really killing the vibes right now going forward.
Yeah, a lot of double commits, and it feels like Black Army is just playing a little bit more free here. We see a 0 boost attempt at an air dribble from Vexamed, but yeah, it just seems like the free-flowing nature of Black Army right now is just winning the day. And we spoke about this. Black Army, when they get going, the ceiling is tremendously high, and right now that ceiling seems to be so high as we see a whiff and a massive save. Gojo saves his team in this series, and Martez with a rebound shot, but a tremendous save from Gojo, keeping his team within a 1-goal deficit. That could prove huge here if ECRC end up coming back.
Absolutely. Is that a turning point for this series? The Smash is going to get this one over, but it's going to be easily read by Martez. Can he get back to this? He can, as Gojo's going to now move in for ECRC, but it's just so clean in the back from Black Army. It's just, there's really no threat at all, as Toad Death is going to play this across Smash. He just might get the touch. That net was open. Just ended up flipping the wrong way, but ECRC are now starting to camp out on the orange end, but there were some really good boost grabs from Black Army that are going to kind of keep ECRC at bay. It's going to be a team bump. Smash, it's going to go right into Martez. This is going to be a follow-up from Toad Death. That's off the post.
How have they not scored?
I don't know what's going on, Luis, but everything that ECRC are doing right now, it is not working.
Black Army was with a negative 20 boosts combined, and they somehow have not conceded yet. As we see a bump, this has to be a goal. It's not a goal. The goal remains shut. Black Army, I genuinely, I have no words, Chad. This is just a tremendous defensive last stand here. ECRC throwing everything plus the kitchen sink, and Black Army are surviving. 30 seconds left. Vexamed in the air. All 3 players up for ECRC. This is an open net, but again, nobody on Black Army with boost. Oh, this is man, this is starting to feel like it's now or never for ECRC. Martez booms the ball. It's going to be in the back of the net. 2-0 Black Army. That is going to be the series. Wow, I don't know, Rydog. ECRC hit every part of the net, and the ball didn't go on the net. And now we have a 4 straight game series win, unless we have a kickoff goal here, which is absolutely possible, and it needs to be a kickoff goal here for ECRC. Vexamed, full boost, needs to delay time, does give the ball away here, and so this has to be it for ECRC. 3v1 pass mid, saved by Martez yet again. They are shutting the door down, but hey, Gojo, he finds the back of the net. This game is not over. 5 seconds left. But again, just tremendous defense. And finally, the dam breaks here with 5 seconds left, right, dog?
So now you absolutely need a kickoff goal. You need a kickoff play. You need something for ECRC, as they need a goal to send this into overtime. But Killazapo is going to win that kickoff, and ECRC are going to have to do it in the air as this ball just hangs on the 1 second mark. As Vexamed's going to play this to the corner. It's going to stay up now. Can Gojo read this off the side? He can, but Killazapo's there, and it's going to drop. And Black Army, after losing the first 2 games of the series, are going to come back and win 4 straight to have them move on to lower round 2.
Yeah, that is a defensive masterclass. 6 saves coming out of Black Army there. It really felt like 12. I don't know how ECRC did not win that game 6. They were the better team. They had the better chances, and just somehow the ball just stayed out of the net. Massive credit to Black Army. I mean, that was a tremendous turnaround on what was a pretty remarkable series, all things considered, right, dog? We had a bit of everything there, and wow. Man, shout out to some of the Black Army players in that. It really felt like it was like prime Iker Casillas at times. They they pulled out clutch for their team.
Yeah, I'm also lost for words for how ECRC did not score in that final game. You said it yourself. They hit every post, they hit every player. Black Army with an insane defensive stand, and they come out on top. And so yeah, we're hopefully going to get some interviews from them, from hopefully both teams, but also both series as well, because of course we did have the KC Cauldron beating Steel Army a little bit earlier. But Luis, I don't know what was going on. If I had to pick an MVP for today, I think offensively you have to go Killazapo. He was the one putting in the goals for Black Army, but then defensively it's got to be Martez. No, I mean, he had some incredible saves with no boost. I mean, all of them really had some incredible saves, but maybe Martez had quite a few more with no boost or just being the last man back. So but collectively, just an unbelievable performance from Black Army.
Yeah, I think Killazapo and Martez are the highlight players of the series. We know what Vex is about. I mean, he's him. We understand that. But dude, Killazapo and Martez at the end of that series were balling. Tremendous saves. Killazapo, Isidore had some really good timely goals for them too, and just tremendous Black Army play. And this series, I think, was emblematic of what we've seen from Black Army all season. Excuse me. They have really low lows where they get blown out in game number 1, but they also have really high highs in which we saw the 4 straight games they won. So congratulations to Black Army following that game 7 series they lost in the first round. A really good bounce back from them, going down 2-0. They could have easily put their heads down against the favored team and just said, hey guys, it's just not our season. But they came back with a vengeance. And just tremendous play from them. And then for ECRC, I think those first 2 games, I mean, that was ECRC. I mean, games number 1 and 2 were very comfortable. They were easily the better team in both of those games. And then I don't know what changed. I genuinely don't know what changed. I just think that Black Army, a light switch flipped, and it just kind of the series just kind of completely changed. So I'm looking forward to maybe some post-game interviews where we can kind of ask both teams how they feel that the series kind of changed. So really awesome series. And I do want to highlight chat, thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all being here for both games. We're gonna get some interviews here shortly, so everybody who's here, really do appreciate it. And speaking of interviews, we are going to be interviewing Saikugo from the winning Black Army.
Yo.
What's up, bro? Talk to me, bro.
Yo, am I good? Yeah. All right.
Yep.
What's up, baby? How we feeling? We're feeling good on this side.
I mean,
Yeah,
we just saw. I mean, we can scratch out games 1 and 2. Maybe we'll come back and talk about that. But four straight game wins to take the series. Yeah, maybe just expand on how you guys are feeling.
Look, you guys said it best. Low lows, high highs. We didn't really get good practice this week, due to Thanksgiving and family time and stuff like that. And then we got thrown a little obstacle in our way when they said we were going to play on East. So we did have about 30 to 45 minutes practicing on those East servers. We were still trying to pick up the pace between ourselves first 2 games. But once Izzy went in, he changed the pace throughout the whole series. That's the MVP of the series right here. Big Zops. Shout out you, big dog.
Yeah, speaking about changing the momentum, it just felt like the first 2 games, I don't know, it felt like it was just a completely different team. Was it just the change in lineup, or how were vibes after y'all lose the first 2 games? Are y'all just down on y'all selves? You had a tough first series where y'all were up 3-1. You end up losing that series. You lose the first 2 games of this series. You could very easily in the comms be we have no chance. It's just not our time. So just talk to me about the mental after losing game 2.
Yeah, mental was great, honestly. We learned from the last time we were in the league. We lost. We were first seed and we got first rounded by ECRC. So a little bit of revenge right there, and that was it got a little ugly right there. So we learned from that. Izzy and I were on that team as well. And we learned from that, and the mental was strong. Nobody was down. We knew we can win this game. And what definitely helped was us scoring first every single game. After that, we were just like, come on, let's fucking go. We still got it. And no, it was just, we were on a high. We were on a high for sure. Definitely better than last week. Sorry. Definitely better than last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I'll personally apologize for that. As being a member of TA, but of course, you guys do the thing and bounce back really well. I guess talk to me about the game 3, your first game win of the series. It's 1-1, going in with 5 seconds left. I want to know. Get me in the comms of you guys when I think it was Killzapo who scored that goal with 1 second left. Talk to me about what the comms were like during that moment.
Yeah, Izzy just kind of took over. Izzy's Killzapo. Zapo, he just took over. He stepped up and being one of the vocal leaders on the team. And I don't know, something was inside of him that we hadn't seen in a while. And I feel like he's just waking up and evolving into a better player. But after that, he was fired up. I have not seen him fired up or heard him fired up like this in so long. So that was just, it lit another fuse and with everybody. Shout out Crone or Martez. Yeah, he was putting in work. Shout out, everybody. I do want to shout out Eric as well. He didn't play as much as he would like to, but that is one thing that this team does well, is nobody gets butthurt at playing time. We all want to win together. If we lose together, but we realize what we need to do to win. And luckily, we've been all on the same page this whole season. And it's something that, I've been part of the Black Army, I believe 4 seasons now in the SGO. And it's something that we've lacked in the past. But I don't know. We're coming different from here on out.
As somebody who rotates a lot of players, and I can totally feel having a team where, when you guys do rotate players, no one gets, butthurt. That's, super important, because if you're rotating people and people getting butt hurt, it could be just a massive disaster. So credit to y'all. I'm trying to look who y'all are potentially going to play next. My Discord is acting up. Do we know who Black Army is going to play next?
It don't matter. Bring in anybody. Bring in Timbers. We want that shit back, baby. I'm just kidding. No, it's all good. We'll play whoever. We're ready. We're ready to win. We're ready to ball out and really show our best self in these next coming matches.
Yeah, and you guys, it looks like we'll play, either Locals or Rebellion. So that one will be played out on Tuesday. So keep your eyes out on Tuesday for who you guys might play. But it sounds like you guys are excited and ready to go, which of course is great. But Hugo, thanks for joining us in the booth, man. Do you have any other shout outs before we let you go?
Hey, shout out ECRC, man. They put in a good season. I met a couple of the guys 2 weeks ago at the LAFC game when Seattle came to visit. They were great, man. Love them. I'm sorry your season had to end here, but we'll see them soon. We'll see them very soon. Appreciate
yeah,
all you
man.
guys. Thank all you guys actually. Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, Sai Kugo, coming in after a tremendous 6-game series win for you guys. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one
Yeah,
when you guys
that
either
was
play
fun.
the locals or the Rebellion, bro.
Yeah, we'll be there, baby. Come on. Hey, let's get that LAN party going. Let's go. I got a shot for everybody in the league. Let's go.
Oh man, I am so down for an FGL LAN. Hopefully one day we can make that happen. As Sai Kugo does exit for us. Yeah,
I love that energy. I love that energy. They
Yeah.
want to play their next series right now. Like if it was up to them, if they were ready, let's get this rolling. And I totally get that as like as somebody who beat them. Funny enough, in that game 7 overtime in that winners round run, I was ready to play locals like right then and there. So I feel that energy, and I hope they can keep that moving forward to whoever they play. Which of course, like you said, we find out on Tuesday.
Yeah, man. Well, man, it's once you play these playoff series, you just kind of you just want to play the next one. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of all the adrenaline's going. And one thing I love about the Black Army guys, they have energy, man. They have energy. The vibes are pretty good. They've are always keeping it, keeping the mental good. So shout out them, and congratulations on their series win. And again, congratulations to Casey as well in our SGL NIT Constellation tournament. So. I think right now, guys, we actually do not have any other interviews, but we do have a bracket and a table to show you guys. We can go ahead and do that right now.
Yeah, let's bring up the bracket. I think maybe that's first, as now we have it updated as Black Army is gonna eliminate Luis. I was thinking of things to say and I was just speechless after the series, but it's finally like settling in. The number 1 seed is out.
Yeah, the number 1 seed is out. I mean, my bracket has been completely busted from like day one, thanks to your team, right, Dog. I had ECRC making the finals. I think this team was, for me, the second best team in the playoffs, and Black Army told me that you are wrong, and they came out and proved that they are for real. And so I don't think we've had any brackets in the Discord that are now correct. So no one's winning the $1 million for having a correct bracket this time around. So I mean, what stands out to you, right, Og, when you look at this updated bracket?
We talked about it in the before the series started, that we have the 6 best SGL teams here in this kind of playoff bracket, and that any team can beat any team on any given day. And I think it's kind of funny that there's similarities from this into just MLS play as well, right? You look over the course of the MLS season, of course, they're in the playoffs as well, but any team can beat any team on any given day, and you have to give your best when the time comes. And so you just look at all of these kind of upsets, right? EM over Rebellion, I think that was technically an upset by seeding. EM taking down ECRC, that's an upset by seeding. Timbers Army, of course, and their 2 wins, that's an upset by seeding. Black Army now, that's an upset by seeding. So we've had all upsets. The lower seed has won, I think, 100% of the games in this upper bracket, which is just absurd. But that just proves that like teams are finding the momentum later in the season and just using that to ride themselves into just the way that they're playing over the course of this playoff run. And you could easily see Black Army there in that grand final a little bit later with the way they played tonight.
Yeah, the seeding that we're seeing in terms of just the lower seeds winning is like, I think like you said, emblematic of just kind of this SGL season in general. We've had so many more teams that can beat everybody else, and so the parity has been tremendous. And as somebody not only announcing the league, or not only as a player, but as a fan of watching SGL, it's fun. It's fun to see kind of the idea that any team can beat any team, and so again, tremendous playoffs so far. The next game that we will have for you stream and chat will be on Tuesday. It will be that Locals Rebellion series. Black Army will find out who is going to be facing them, and so banger matchups all across the board in these next rounds, and honestly in every round so far they've been really good matchups. So if I am Black Army, I honestly don't know who I prefer over those out of those two teams. I think right now, if you're Black Army, I don't think you really care who you play. You probably feel as we heard in the interview that you can beat anybody if you play the Black Army Rocket League. So I'm looking forward to that Locals Rebellion series. I think that one's going to be a banger as well for you guys. And yeah, we are just kind of spoilers for the upper bracket. The EMTA game will probably end up taking place sometime between the window of like December 9th to December 11th. And so that's just kind of like give you an idea of when that upper bracket match will take place. But yeah, right, dog. I mean, anything else? Just kind of things that you're thinking about?
Killazapo did say in chat, he said, bring whoever, baby. So, just doubling down on Saikuga's interview of just, yeah, they're ready to go. They want to play whoever. But no, I don't think, I mean, you covered it most. I think, yeah, that EM Timbers Army series, we're just keeping you on the edge of your seats, guys, for that. We'll have you guys wait a little bit longer for that one. But yeah, that Locals Rebellion match, it's going to be tough to call, really, because, if you take weeks, regular season weeks 1 through, 9, I'm saying Locals all the way, not even a question. It's them 100%, maybe even a sweep. But over the course of these last few weeks, they've kind of had a downward trend. And then, of course, Rebellion, at least to me, have just been, of course, you mentioned it earlier, Luis, they played you really, really close in their winners round 1 match. That 4-0 maybe not be super indicative of, how they played. And so if you're saying that a Rebellion is on the upswing and a Locals is on the downswing, I think that, that almost favors Rebellion in a way, just like the Timbers Army local series too, where you have Timbers Army on that high, the Locals kind of on a downtrend, and just kind of seeing what goes on in there. So of course, yeah, like I said, we will decide all of that on Tuesday for the next round. So we're super stoked on that. But of course, Luis, we did have another match tonight in our SGL consolation tournament. Let's bring that up if we can, and to show what we've got there. So of course we had KC Cauldron and Steel Army play, and KC Cauldron getting it done in 4 games. Of course that one those are best of 5s, so just so everybody is aware there. But of course Steel Army still managing to grab a point, which is huge. Here in SGL, a series win is 4 points, but then if you do lose a series, the games are worth individual points as well. So every game matters. And so, of course, Steel Army kind of taking that initial pole position with the 5 points with that game win against KC Cauldron. But there you see KC Cauldron jumping up to 3rd there in the 1-0 spot.
Yeah, again, every point matters. It kind of reflects the regular season standing. So you guys are familiar with how important individual games one is. But KC Cauldron, with their 1 game played, they are perfect with 4 points to their name. And so again, I think KC Cauldron, like you said at the beginning of the broadcast, I think they're going to end up winning this lower NIT consolation tournament that we have going on here. But yeah, good performance from KC. Good to see Smitty on the field. Good to see Thorngold and Serrano as well. So good performance from them. And yeah, look forward to seeing how this tournament gets on, and hopefully it's just as exciting as what we've seen so far in the playoffs, which have been honestly tremendous. And not just saying that because it's, we're on stream and we're commentating the league, but it's been honestly some tremendous series to watch. So hopefully it continues in both competitions.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't want to discredit Steel Army as well. They played a really, really good game. Those games were really close against KC Cauldron. And so, kind of after watching that match, of course, on the little mini screen for you guys, I might have solidified my pick for them to be the 2 seed. I think, of course, it still comes down to that Steel Army EC Blue series whenever that gets played out to see who kind of takes the edge there. But, man, Steel Army really impressed me today. So I think that bodes well moving forward. Well, Luis, let's get ready to wrap this thing up. We had an action-packed night tonight.
with two crazy series. Let's just do maybe a brief recap. ECRC, -- 1 seed, of course, taking a tough loss to EM in that upper bracket, but coming in with some fire under their belly, getting those first 2 game wins. But then Black Army said, "Hold on a minute, we're gonna win 4 straight."
Yeah, I think again, just to recap, it's crazy to see kind of the 1 seed go down, but yeah, I think we probably do a disservice kind of talking about seeding in the playoffs. It's not really applicable to how good everybody is. We mention it a lot, but yeah, everybody can beat everybody, and we saw it tonight. And kudos to Black Army again. I think it's really easy for Black Army. They really could have just laid down because they had honestly a bit of a choke job in that Timbers Army series, letting go of a 3-1 lead, and you open up your next series down 2-0, and so you could really have the mental just kind of go in the drain. But those guys, kudos to them. They stuck it to their mental and said, we're gonna keep playing our game, and they turned it around. So kudos to Black Army. I don't want to discredit their play, but I think ECRC as well will probably tell you they didn't play their best ball, and unfortunately in the playoffs, if you aren't playing your best ball, it's doesn't really bode well for you. So ECRC had a tremendous season. They were the best team all season in SGL, and as we know, and you mentioned the MLS playoffs right now, the playoffs are a wild place, and so anything can happen, and we saw that today in SGL. And then yeah, KC, I think that they played really good, and again, pretty expected series. Not much to say on that series. They did exactly what I thought they would do, given they are the better team playing in that series. So good two series tonight, and again, chat, really appreciate all y'all being here. Maz for streaming, Red Dog for being here with me as well. Really appreciate all the players tonight, and yeah, that's about it for me.
Hey, you summed that up perfectly. So thanks, Luis, and like you said, thank you so much everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We had some banger series tonight, and like I said, keep posted in the SGL Discord. We've got our Locals Rebellion match on Tuesday, and I'm sure we might have some consolation matches in between now and then as well, so stay tuned for the Discord for that. But for Luis commentating with me, for Maz behind the scenes, I'm Rydog. GG's everybody, and have yourself a great night and a great week.